Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Ledwell and this is The Inspiration Show. Today on the show I have a really special guest. He's actually written a book called What You Want Wants You, which is part of the conversation that we'll be talking about today. But he actually has a very inspiring story and very inspiring background, and very eclectic background, if I could say that. So please join me in welcoming my special guest, Thomas Bähler. How are you, Thomas?
I'm very well, Natalie, and happy to be here. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to be chatting with you today. So why don't we start initially with your background and your story, as colourful and entertaining as it is.
Well, sometimes I have to kind of pinch myself because of the life that I've led. And I started out in Inglewood, California. My father had been in the business before me. We had a music business. My father played trumpet in the studios, and after the war, he decided to go into related businesses, and we owned a record store and had jukeboxes all over Southern California, and that was kind of the atmosphere that my brother and I grew up in. And so we played trumpet, and we sang, and just enjoyed everything musical, but it was never about do this, do that. In fact, my father never told me what to do. But he instilled in my brother and me just this feeling of peace and sort of a comfortable self-value. So when I was in college, I went to USC. I was majoring in trumpet. Then I had an operation that I didn't expect, and it kind of changed my direction. And so I started off as a studio singer. My first job was on the Smothers Brothers show, where I met so many of the stars that I was to work with for the rest of my career. And some of the folks that I've worked with creatively are Elvis Presley, and I have wonderful stories to tell about these, because all of these are relationships, you know. I worked with Michael Jackson from the time he was 13 until his untimely death. Quincy Jones and I have been very close since 1973. We've done a multitude of things together. Worked with Steven Spielberg, Barbra Streisand, Diana Ross, Billy Joel. I had the pleasure of being the vocal arranger and associate producer of We Are the World. Conducted the finale of Live Aid from the JFK Stadium. That was a very amazing experience, to turn around to the audience and have them sing, 120,000 people sing back to us, We Are the World. Like I said, sometimes I need to pinch myself, Natalie.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
No, so I mean, and I want to talk about the book now, What You Want Wants You. What was your inspiration behind writing the book in the first place? This
book came about sort of as, imagine yourself a couple with 2 or 3 children, and your youngest is 13, and suddenly you find out that your wife's pregnant. And it's like, whoa, we're starting over again. You know, and joyfully so. But it's that, you know, the surprise child. Well, this book was the surprise child, because I was raised with this philosophy, but it was so embedded in me, it was not in my consciousness. But a few years ago, I wrote my first book, which is a novel, and how I went from being a composer, arranger, producer, creative director into writing a novel was as much news to me as it is to you. But I had written this idea as a musical, something I had been raised with, which is Aesop. And I was raised with the knowledge of him from the time I was 3 years old. And the thing about Aesop that so intrigued me is that in his stories, he's the most quoted author in history. And one of the reasons is that in his stories, each and every one of them, we, the reader, discover the meaning, so we own it. It's not him telling us. And we pull it out and it's ours. And discovery was a big part of my childhood. This is my father never told me what to do, ever. But I was raised with questions and suggestions, and quite a high standard. So as I was writing this novel, these pillars started to arise in my imagination. And what they were the pillars of this philosophy that I was raised with that turned into a formula. And all of this was happening not without my consent, but without my active participation. But I discovered at a very young age that when things come to us, they have a reason. So I've learned to listen. So this is how What You Want Wants You was born, and it's basically a formula of four simple steps to getting unstuck, leading a fulfilling and thrilling life. And the interesting thing is I worked with the great people that I've worked with, both men and women, and not only in the entertainment business, but I worked with Henry Ford II, and I've worked with 2 presidents. And what I saw in them was the same traits that I had discovered for myself. And this is when I was sort of guided to do this. It was not something I signed up for, but it's become a huge part of my life. And it's purely out of love and passion and wanting to share good news with other people. And it's not about telling you what to do. It's about sharing tools with you that I've used and that I've noticed that Spielberg used. In fact, we did a thing with Spielberg one time, and I said, "Did you know my dad?" And he said, "I don't think I had the pleasure." And I said, "Well, you just quoted him, you know?" So we all know that success leaves clues, and that there is a line through all of this. And I have my own particular take on it, and it seems to bring a lot of joy to people and discovery for them. So I'm quite pleased.
That's wonderful. See, so what I hear you talking about here is really teaching people how to tap into their inner knowing or their intuition. Or are we tapping into something outside of ourselves to give us the direction on where we should be heading in life?
Well, I believe, and I couldn't agree with you more, Natalie. And the thing is that yes, our intuition, you know, we have 5 senses, but we also know those are the 5 basic senses. We know that we have many, many more than that. My greatest sense is my intuition. And I was given permission to use this. My father said, "Son, when things occur to me," and he always gave me the I message, he never said you know, which kind of puts us off, even though we don't want to be put off. He said, "Son, when something comes to me, I know it has value. If it comes to me more than once, I know it has more value. If it comes to me more than twice, I write it down." Never knowing what I'm going to do with it, but you know, it always turns into something. And if not that, it is a stairway to something else. So, so yes, it is about tapping into our intuition. Our conscious knowledge is so sparse. You know, Einstein talked about this, but our intuition is our pathway to all that was, all that is, and all that will be. And we can call it, we can look at it divinity, we can look at it as the universe. I think that is all personal. Yeah. But I believe that the journey is the same. Absolutely.
And I think your whole life is a testament that everything is a stepping stone to the next thing. Because, you know, it's not just that this came to you, but you were able to identify different things in your life and different patterns that were showing up with all the different people that you've been working with. So, you know, can you give me an example of someone that you have worked with in the past, you know, maybe someone famous, where, you know, you were able to validate what this message that came through to write the book?
Yes, I can give you an example. I could give you hundreds, but I'll give you one quick one. The first one that came to me, again, that's instinct, right?
Yep.
We were working on The Color Purple. Alice Walker had written this wonderful Pulitzer Prize-winning book. Quincy Jones was the one who was able to secure the rights because Alice trusted her, and he brought that trust to the table. It took him 18 months to convince or to persuade Steven Spielberg to direct the movie. And at first Steven was like, "Why do you want me?" And he said, "Because you're the best director alive." And he said, "Yeah, but I do like aliens and things." He said, you know. Anyway, we get into the movie. We've gone through 4 or 5 screenwriters, all good, but not nailing it and not bringing her vision, not bringing Alice's vision to the screen. And we were at a meeting one day where we were just kind of downtrodden. We thought, you know what, maybe we've gone through these, and these were all spectacular screenwriters. Maybe this isn't going to translate to the screen. I think maybe we need to look at that. And Steven, can you see this?
Yeah.
Stephen held out his hand he stood up and held his hand out at the table, and he said, "What can you put in this? What can we put in this?"
Nothing.
What can we put in this?
Anything.
The meeting was over, and 5 weeks later we discovered and found our screenwriter. So that is a great example of this, of a different perspective, of looking at a perspective of possibility, and when we run into walls, we either go over them, under them, or around them.
Yeah.
And quite often those things are given to us to heighten our awareness.
Yeah, I mean that's it. See, to me, perspective is everything, because I don't believe there's only 3 sides to a story. I believe there are 20 sides to a story. There are so many aspects of a story depending on where you're coming from, you know, what you bring to the situation, what you choose to look at.
Yes.
Perspective is everything.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And this book and this course is offering a different perspective. I've done 2 cycles of the course, and the results have been beyond my expectations. And again, I didn't sign up to do this. I'm doing this out of my passion, out of wanting to share good news with people. Don't we always want to do that? If we see a great movie, don't we call our best friend and say, "Oh my gosh, you know, have you seen The Imitation Game? Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. I loved it." You know, well, that's the way I feel about this. I continue being a composer. I continue being a creative director. I continue doing whatever I've done because I've loved everything that I have done throughout my life. And the thing is, what I have to share with this is practical experience, not theory.
Yeah.
I have a story for everything, every point in this book. And that's what I'm so excited about.
And I think too, when we're given the download, or when we become that conduit and this message comes through us, we can't say no. Even though, like, you go, okay, it's, you know, when I was working with the university in Columbia, they asked me to create a curriculum for 6 to 12-year-olds. I said yes, because I couldn't say no, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do this. It's like, you know, so I had to, you know, go through the process that I normally apply to be able to be able to do that. And now the curriculum's being taught in Medellin right now. So I think when we have this download, it's like, well, even though this doesn't fit with any other part of my life, I have no choice but to share it and get it out in the world.
I agree. And our good friend Jonathan Fields and I were talking one day, and he knows my story, and he said, "Tommy, you cannot not share this with people." And so I totally agree with you, Natalie, and I'm so happy that you followed your instincts and your love and your passion to create this, and look how you're changing lives.
Yeah, and you too, and you too.
Oh, thank you.
So Thomas, if people want to connect with you and either purchase the book or enroll in the course, where can we send them to do that?
Go to thomasbahler.com, ThomasBahler. I know our last name looks funny, but it's a Swiss name, and with the umlaut over the A, it's a Bähler, thomasbahler.com. And you'll find everything there, and it grows every day. So I would love to have you come visit us, come join, and also leave your email, because I have a growing, wonderful growing family. I write a newsletter, well, a blog. What do we call these things? I don't even know. You know, labels aren't my big thing. But every Wednesday, I put out something that's either funny, thoughtful, or it's called A Cup of Inspiration. And by the response I'm getting to it, apparently it's working. So again, it's something we do out of love, and isn't everything we do to serve others? That was a main part of how I was raised by my grandmother. Honey, we are all put on this earth to serve others, and serve others with our unique gift. 100 billion people have walked this planet, no two are alike. Whatever you are, whoever you are, use it. And I love what Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Absolutely. No, what you've just described is what I think we all have the same purpose. And that is to show up as the best version of ourselves and serve and contribute to humanity. The mission in which that shows up for us may be different for all of us, because that's what makes our unique gifts shine. But that's our purpose, and that's how we get to be happy and live this fulfilled life, because we know we're making a contribution. Thomas, it's been awesome having you today. I knew this was going to be a fantastic conversation. So guys, if you're watching this online, if you click to the banner to the side, it'll go straight through to Thomas's website from there. If you are watching it on the app, if you click the banner underneath, that will go through to Thomas's website. So thanks, Thomas. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Natalie, thank you. What a pleasure.
Awesome. Now, guys, I also encourage you to share this video, which you can do by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. And don't forget to leave your email if you haven't done so already, so I can send you the Manifesting with the Masters video e-course. It's actually valued at $87, and I'd love to send it to you for free. Wow. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.